welcome to the University Sew Page Blouse Tutorial Part 1. Get your pattern, cut it out of the fabric of your choice, and let's get started. These are the pattern pieces that you will need. 1 front bodice piece, 2 back bodice pieces, 2 sleeve pieces, 1 for the right and 1 for the left, 4 tie pieces, 1 neckline binding piece cut on the bias, and 1 very small button loop piece also cut on the bias. Let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start with the 2 back pieces. Make sure that you have the right size of the fabric together. We're going to start by sewing the center back. You're going to start at the dot that you marked on the pattern and stitch all the way down with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. We're going to be leaving the top open for the keyhole. Okay, so you're going to pin it all the way down to the bottom, and you're going to make sure that you're going to be pinning both layers. So my favorite type of pins that I use are the extra long quilting pins because they're super sturdy and they stop the fabric from moving so much when you sew it. Okay, so just put it in just like this. Okay, so after you're done pinning, again, you're going to stitch it all the way from your mark to the bottom. After you're done pinning, it should look like this. And after you're done sewing, it should look like this. Okay, so now that we're done sewing the center back seam, we're going to press the seam open. So far, it looks like this. And now what we're going to do is just get it nice and flat and open at the top. So what you're going to do is get your iron and just kind of press it nice and flat. And you can use a little bit of steam if you need to. So just go all the way to the top and continue as needed. So after you're done, it should look something like this. After you're done pressing the center back seam, it should look like this. Okay, so now we're going to work on the keyhole. So after you have this press, what you're going to do is just fold the seam allowance under, just like this, just to make it a nice clean finish. And the way we do that is just to take the one side like this and to lay this one side nice and flat. The one underneath is going to be off to the side, but this one you will lay nice and flat. So you're going to take this and fold it and iron it. You're going to fold it up a 1/2 inch. So to measure, you can use this type of ruler, this plastic ruler, where you fold it up, and then after you fold it up, you can pin it in place and then press it. Or you can do what I like to do, which is use a hot pressing ruler. You can actually iron on this one. So what you're going to do is you're going to fold it up and measure about a 1/2 inch at the 1/2 inch line, and then get your iron and press it using just a little bit of steam. And then we will do the other side. But first, let me show you what we have so far on this side. This will be folded like this, and you will sew this along this edge, pivot, and come to this mark right here. But first, let us finish this side. So you're gonna pull this seam allowance like so and lay it flat. Get your pressing ruler and fold it up a 1/2 inch and press. Okay, perfect. So this is what we have so far. This is what it will look like, but we're gonna go in and iron it flat just one more time. And for this, you can use a little bit of steam. So now we are gonna go to the sewing machine and we will be sewing along the inside of this fold here. We're gonna stop, pivot, pivot again, and then sew all the way back up. So when you go to top stitch your keyhole, you can use pins like here, or you can sew it without pins, whatever you prefer. Okay, so now we're gonna top stitch the keyhole in the back. What you're gonna do is you're gonna line up your presser foot with the edge of this fold here. Okay, you're gonna start by back stitching, and then you will sew it just like this all the way straight down. Then when you get to here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna sink your needle in, lift up your presser foot, pivot the fabric, and then you're going to stop at this mark right here. Stop again, sink your needle in, pick up your presser foot, pivot the fabric, matching it to the other side, and stitch. Again, stop, sink your needle in, pivot the fabric where it's lined up to the edge, and after this, all you have to do is just sew straight down. Once finished, it will look like this, but you can design your top stitch any way you want. So next we're gonna work on the ties that go in the side seam of the blouse. You're gonna have 4 ties in all. 2 of them you're gonna sew with right sides together. And then the other 2 you're gonna also sew with right sides together. One of the completed ties is gonna go on the right side and one's gonna go on the left. Again, you're gonna pin all the way around, but you will not pin this side because this side does not need to be sewn because it's gonna be sewed in the side seam of the blouse. So you'll pin the top, the diagonal, and the bottom. So now just pin as usual. So I'm gonna fast forward here for time's sake, but just so you know, when you sew the 2 tie pieces together, it's gonna be with the 1/4 seam allowance. So that's just gonna be on the edge of your presser foot. The smaller seam allowance is more neater and nice for the ties. So after you're done, it should look something like this. And you're gonna do the same thing for the other tie. Again, you do not have to worry about this side because it's gonna be sewed into the seam. Here is a close-up of the tie pinned. And this is what the tie will look like once you're done sewing it. So now that you're done sewing the ties together, you're gonna turn them right side out. And I actually already did this one. So now we're gonna work on this one. Of course, you're gonna start by placing your hand inside the tie and just pulling it right side out. So you can just kind of try to wiggle the corners out to the best you can. If it's not working, I actually have a trick that get you sharp corners every time. And for this, you'll need a chopstick or anything with a point, like a pencil should work, something like that. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna stick the chopstick in the corner, one of the corners of the ties, and basically what you're gonna do is you're just gonna push that corner out. Just push it out like that. And then you can do it to the other side. Just push it out, obviously not poking a hole, but pushing it out enough to get a nice, sharp, pointed corner, like so. So just continue until you get a nice corner. Okay, just like that. So now you're ready to press it. So here we have our tie piece. Now we're gonna press it and make it nice and flat. So just make sure that all your seams are flat and not folded in. Okay, so now you'll get your iron and iron it. So I like to press it to where there's no wrinkles whatsoever, where it's nice and flat. I usually press it quite a bit. I'll be fast forwarding it here soon. But you know, the more you press it, the more flat it will be, the more neat it will look, and it won't look so homemade. Okay, so now you have a nicely pressed tie. So you're gonna do the same thing with the other tie. Just press it nice and flat. Now it's ready to be sewn into the side seam of the blouse. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out part 2.